Hey, Steve and Yanni here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1966 Dodge Charger. Now, the Charger was part of a styling revolution at Dodge that really helped to turn the tides. Now, 1962, when Dodge and Plymouth and Chrysler really had some bizarre styling, Dodge only sold 230,200 cars. Well, by 1966, they sold 543,700 cars, like twice as many. And a lot of it had to do with the mighty Dodge Charger, seen here for the very first time. Now, this is the Fastback, only made for 2 years, 66 and 67. The base price on this was $3,122, which sounds like not a lot of money, but that was $417 more than a Coronet 500 base car. Of course, the Coronet 500, very similar, but very different. Charger was all about this Fastback, and of course the full rear wheel openings. Coronets had a smaller wheel opening. But one thing about the Charger, of course, is that these, as Fastbacks, had a big glass window and created a lot of heat inside. So the deck lid comes up, and we look right here. These vents are these rubber vents seen only on Charger. And when you open and close the doors, these things let air out, and of course air flows through the car. And these rubber vents, of course, seen only on Charger. Now this one, of course, the taillights are gone, they always are, but something about Charger that was cool was up front and in the back, the full width taillight that read Charger, and up front, the full width grille with hideaway headlights, and in the center of the car, the full length console, seen in 1966 only. So the Charger was a specialty car, and Plymouth did not have a variant of this. They didn't get a Charger type car. They had the Barracuda, but that was a smaller vehicle built on the A-body compact. The Charger's an intermediate B-body platform, so it was Dodge's and Dodge's only. Now this is Consumer Reports magazine right here. This is the August 1966 issue. Now Consumer Reports was a magazine that didn't take advertising, and it says learn the facts, no advertising. These guys worked solely on, well, advocating on new vehicles and selling that information. And here we see they do the Mustang, Corvette, and Charger. So here it is right here, the Dodge Charger road test. They weren't really thrilled with it. And here's the picture of it there, bottom left, and it says here, when cornered hard, the Charger rolled its tires so far under that the tire maker's name was obliterated from the sidewalls. Not very, very positive statement there. And they go further. Here we have here, they're talking about suspension control. They say here, now this was a 318 car that they're testing, the Poly. We'll get to that in a moment. The car retained good control of its motion over the test bumps, only tossing over the largest, with the manufacturer's maximum rated load of 1,100 pounds, half a ton. However, the ride deteriorated to poor. The rear suspension bottomed continuously, and the car rode with sharp pumping motions. On the worst test bumps, the gas tank, spare tire well, and muffler scraped the road. If heavy loads are to be carried in a Charger, especially in the trunk area, it should have the factory optional heavy-duty rally suspension package, which can be ordered for $15. And furthermore, they bust on the tires. It says here, the test also underlined the fact that the standard tires are too small. Consumer Union strongly recommends that you buy the optional 775/14 tires with the car. This size will still fit in the spare tire well. Well, that advice was taken by whoever bought this car, because we can see here on the bottom of the deck lid, 775W. That chalk mark has been there since this car was built in 1966. This was an instruction for the assembly line worker to toss a 775 white wall spare tire into the spare tire well. That was an extra cost item. The standard tire in this was a 735/14, smaller tire. So again, this did have the bigger tire option. Again, it was a white wall, but if you look on any older Mopar, you'll always see chalk marks right here. It tells you what spare tire was meant to be tossed into the back of the car. And that's a little tip right there. Now this one here has the usual rust. The trunk floor is punky and funky. And again, it's a Massachusetts car. You can see the quarter panel extensions over here have lots of holes. But let's continue our wandering around to the front. Now, of course, unlike the 68 through 70 Charge, which had that really cool, quick, sort of pit stop gas cap on the top, these had a fairly conventional hidden filler right here. This little door right here, and here's the cap for the thing, and it would close up like that. Kind of a high-tech touch in a way. Inside, this one is an automatic. You can see it has the floor-shifted torque flight. And here's the remains of that full-length center console with bucket seats front and rear. 1966 only detail right there. And the center consoles were made of plastic, but thicker and heavier than the ones used in 68 up. Now the VIN on this one, we can learn XP29G6, well, Charger. G means 318 poly 2-barrel, 1966 model year. So this thing was not a muscle car. This was the base 230 horsepower 318 poly, which was in its final year for 1966. The 318 LA Series V8 would replace it for 67 as the base engine. You could also get a 361 2-barrel, 383 2-barrel, 383 4-barrel, or the mighty street Hemi in this thing, which reminds me of building model cars. If you were a kid back in 67, you would be a happy guy if you found this thing under your Christmas tree. This is the MPC 67 Dodge Charger kit, but it's really cool all the ways you can build it. Here's the NASCAR version right here with the big 426 Hemi with 3 options, single 4, dual 4, or fuel injected. And on the other side here, it's kind of weird. This is the flip-top funny car version. If you know your funny cars, you'll know that what MPC did basically was just say, tighten the screws on the back loose so you could use the standard chassis pan and flip the body up. I mean, the interior does not go up with a flip-top funny car, but this is kind of one of MPC's goofy little model kits. But again, beautiful stuff. And here's the actual kit right here. And these are still in production, by the way. Round 2 makes these things. You can still buy them today. And here's the underside right here, the dual exhaust, the 8 3/4. The race Hemi headers on this thing, kind of cool. A beautiful body, really well rendered. And it's funny too that MPC also did this thing here. This is George Barris's Thunder Charger, which is very similar. But look at the difference. The front and the back on this Thunder Charger on the bottom have extended fenders and quarter panels. Weird. Same underpinnings, pretty much. Oops. But aside from that, just a weird thing. The Thunder Charger was a real car, by the way. George Barris took a 66 Hemi Charger, 4-speed, sliced it and diced it, and turned it into the Thunder Charger. But getting back to this is a 318 Polymobile. Front suspension's gone. We can see this one was not ordered with that $15 rally suspension because it does not have the sway bar that would be an adjunct to the front wheel. Oh, and no, wait, it does. Look at this. Okay. All right, there it is. That bottom, that's the sway bar right there. Here's the link. Okay, so this does have the $15 rally suspension, which is kind of interesting to see that on a 318 Poly base motor car. Now here we see, of course, the engine bay is hollowed out, nothing going on here. Power steering car, as many of them were. And of course, here we see the other end of the Charger was the all-important hideaway headlights and the full-width grille. And the remains of this pretty much still here. And you can see behind this is the electric motor and gearbox that allowed this to rotate. We come right here, and there's this electric motor right there. Now this is Street and Strip magazine here, from February of 1966, Dodge's Charger, Fastback, the whole story on it. And Street and Strip's a great magazine, a lot of drag racing stuff. Seldom seen magazine, but here's the shot here, and they talk about the options, and there it is right there, the cutaway drawing of how the headlight motor worked. And again, strictly on Charger. But here's the thing, some people with Coronets could swap this grille. It actually could be retrofitted onto a Coronet for the hideaway headlight look if you wanted it. And the funny thing about 66 and 7, this is all metal, very, very, well, high quality construction. From 1968 through 70, they went to plastic and vacuum motors, and just really chintzy stuff. Of course, 1970 did have electric motors, but again, plastic doors. But 66 and 67 Chargers, metal, really high quality stuff. Speaking of metal, well, we can see what ended this Charger's life right here. This guy hit a tree or something, and it deformed the entire fender, inner fender structure, and terminated this car's existence. But something that's kind of neat to see on this one here is that is an 11-inch drum brake. These came standard with 10-inch drums, but we have our handy-dandy Coker tire little ruler here, slide rule, and 11 inches. This has the optional $25 11x3 front brakes. There'll be 11x2.5s at the back. And again, it's a $25 upcharge over the 10-inch drum. So somebody took the advice of Consumer Reports and the other magazines and got their 318 base Charger with the upscale rally suspension and 11-inch drums and bigger 775 tires. But this Charger, well, I would say that its days of running down the road and charging after Mustangs and that kind of stuff are over. But again, we see a lot of these Chargers here at Berniston Auto Wrecking. This is, I think, our third video on a 66, 67 Charger Fastback, and there's more to come because they're not all the same. In fact, we did a 3-3 4-speed car, and there's some more goodies hiding here. So we'll have more of those coming on down the road. But in the meantime, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and tell your friends, and come back tomorrow for even more from Berniston Auto Wrecking.